Courtship is a very important stage, and some people they tend to make mistakes that they will regret for their entire lives. And today we are discussing about the common courtship practices. Welcome to One Truth, and thank you for joining me today. And here we will keep you motivated and encouraged. If you are joining us for the first time, or if you haven't subscribed, make sure that you do subscribe to the channel, give us a like, and shout out with a comment. We will greatly appreciate that. So we are going through this wonderful book, AdventistHome, which is full of lessons. And also, as we look at it, it guides families so that they can have proper marriages. And in this life, and looking at the main mission of One Truth is to build families for eternity. So we are going through looking at this. We are looking at the wrong ideas of courtship and marriage. We read. The ideas of courtship have their foundation in erroneous ideas concerning marriage. They follow impulse and blind passion. The courtship is carried on in a spirit of flirtation. The parties frequently violate the rules of modesty and reserve and are guilty of indiscretion. If they do not break the law of God, the high noble loft design of God in the institution of marriage is not descent. Therefore, the purest affections of the heart, the noblest traits of character are not developed. Not one word should be spoken, not one action performed that you would not be willing the holy angels should look upon and register in the books above. This is very deep. You should have an eye singly to the glory of God. The heart should have only pure, sanctified affection, worthy of the followers of Jesus Christ, exalted in its nature and more heavenly than earthly. Anything different from this is debasing, degrading in courtship, and the marriage cannot be holy and honorable in the sight of the pure and the holy God, unless it is after the exalted scriptural principle. The youth trust altogether too much to impulse. They should not give themselves away too easily, nor be captivated too readily by the winning exterior of the lover. Courtship is carried on in this age is a scheme of deception and hypocrisy, with which the enemy of souls has far more to do than the Lord. Good common sense is needed here, if anyway, but the fact is, it has little to do in the matter. And many a times, people they always have got this mentality of saying that you have to prove to your partner that you love him, and the way how you prove it is totally different, and it can make one to regret for the entire lives. Through the research which I have done, I have looked at that when you look at men, once they see the nakedness of a woman, or once they sleep with that woman, most of the times, the kind of attraction and the longingness and desire in that lady, it tends to go down. But when it comes to women, once they sleep with a man, they tend to love that person so much. Now you are looking at that as you tend to love this person so much, but that person is no more interested. How will you feel? And he goes away while he has already taken your dignity. And also other people, when they come in, they find that already you have given away your dignity. That will affect you your entire life. So it is very important that we look at this subject closely, as sensitive as it is, and make sure that we always put Jesus Christ at the center of everything that we do. And as we have already read, looking at that, each and everything that we do, we should also make sure that as the heavenly angels will be recording, should not record anything bad about it. You are to treat it in a way that the heavenly angels are there sitting with you, as if Jesus Christ is sitting on the chair with you at any time that you are in courtship. So it is important that we value that. So now let's look at the subtitle, Keeping Late Hours. The habit of sitting up late at night is customary, but it is not pleasing to God, even if you are both Christians. These untimely hours injure health, unfit the mind for the next day's duties, and have an appearance of evil. My brother, I hope you will have self respect enough to shun this form of courtship. If you have an eye single to the glory of God, you will move with deliberate caution. You will not suffer love-sick sentimentalisms to so blind your vision that you cannot discern the high claims that God has upon you as a Christian. So if we look at many things, they happen at night. And at night, that's when the devil is working, mostly as he is the prince of darkness. So as we look at that, as we stay up late, at night late, we injure our health, and most of the times it is mainly associated with the appearance of evil. So these are the things that we have to shun, make sure that we don't find ourselves involved in it. We look at that Satan's angels are keeping watch with those who devote a large share of the night to courting. Could they have their eyes opened, they would see an angel making a record of their words and the acts. The laws of health and modesty are violated. It would be more appropriate to let some of the hours of courtship before marriage run through the married life. But as a general thing, marriage ends all the devotion manifested during the days of courtship. So look at that. These hours of midnight dissipation in this age of depravity frequently lead to the ruin of both parties thus engaged. Satan exalts and God is dishonored when men and women dishonor themselves. The good name of honor is sacrificed under the spell of this infatuation, and the marriage of such persons cannot be solemnized under the approval of God. They are married because passion moved them. And when the novelty of the affair is over, they will begin to realize what they have done. Satan knows just what elements he has to deal with, and he displays his infernal wisdom in various devices to entrap souls to their ruin. He watches every step that is taken and he makes many suggestions, and often these suggestions are followed rather than the counsel of God's word. The finely woven, dangerous net is skillfully prepared to entangle the young and unwary. It may often be disguised under a covering of light, but those who become its victims pierce themselves through with many sorrows. As the result, we see wrecks of humanity everywhere. So now as we look at this, we look at that the devil cannot search the heart, cannot discern what is in your innermost thoughts, but he can tell about the actions that you do. And as a result, he will give you something also. He might come in as an angel of light, but also covering himself with he covers himself with a sheep's clothing, but in a way trying to come and deceive and take you away from the love of God. So we look at this issue of trifling of hearts. What do we mean by that? Let's get more. To trifle with hearts is a crime of no small magnitude in the sight of a holy God. And yet some will show preference for young ladies and call out their affections and then go their way and forget all about the words they have spoken and their effects. A new face attracts them, and they repeat the same words, devote to another the same attentions. So we are to guard jealously the words that we say. We look at that these young women out there, each and everything that you say to them, they take it, and they take it more seriously. And as they take it more seriously, you are to make sure that you don't go there just to let time pass, because you are injuring the souls, and that is a sin to God. This disposition will reveal itself in the married life. The marriage relation does not always make the fickle mind firm. The wavering, steadfast, and true to principle, they tie of constance and unholy thoughts will manifest themselves in unholy actions. How essential it is then that the youth so gate up the loins of their mind and guard their conduct, that Satan cannot beguile them from the path of uprightness. It is very important that we look at this with a very deep sense. And as we look at it, we look at that the devil is always trying by all means to take away our time from God. And as he does this, he also, we are to make sure that we are staying connected with the heavenly, with God. We have to make sure that we stay connected all the time, because if we don't, then the devil gets an opportunity to come in and deceive us. Deceptive practices in courtship. Let's look at what are these deceptive practices in courtship. A young man who enjoys the society and wins the friendship of a young lady, unbeknown to her parents, does not act a noble Christian part toward her or toward her parents. Through secret communications and meetings, he may gain an influence over her mind, but in so doing, he fails to manifest that nobility and integrity of soul which every child of God will possess. In order to accomplish their ends, they act a part that is not frank and open and according to the Bible standard, and they prove themselves untrue to those who love them and try to be faithful guidance over them. So it is important that these who are in courtship, they have to make sure that they put their things known by the parents. The parents are to know whatsoever is happening. But if you make these secret communications, and most of the times it tends to lead to people disobeying God's law. And as we look at, I was looking at this other presentation from this man. He says, if a young man, you are in a relationship with this young man, you are courting, but he has not introduced you to his mother, you should be warned, because a young man who loves a lady, he will make sure that he goes and introduces him to his mother. But if he doesn't do so, it means he is still contemplating, still thinking about you, or he is not sure, or he is just playing with you. So you have to take note of that. And also, when a young lady loves a man, she does make sure that she enjoys a company, and also she also introduces that young man to the friends or to the family, to everyone that is around her. She makes sure that everyone knows about her and this young man in his life. But if she doesn't do so, you have to open up your eyes. Marriages contracted under such influences are not according to the word of God. He who will lead a daughter away from duty, who would confuse her ideas of God's plain and positive commands to obey and honor her parents, is not one who would be true to the marriage obligations. Thou shalt not steal was written by the finger of God upon the tables of stone. Yet how much underhand stealing of affections is practiced and excused. A deceptive courtship is maintained. Private communications are kept up until the affections of one who is inexperienced and knows not whereunto these things may grow are in a measure withdrawn from the parents and placed upon him, who shows by the very course he pursues that he is unworthy of your love. The Bible condemns every species of dishonest. This underhand way in which courtship and marriages are carried on is the cause of great amount of misery, the full extent of which is known only to God. On this rock, thousands have made shipwreck of their souls. Professed Christians whose lives are marked with integrity and who seem sensible upon every other subject make fearful mistakes here. They manifest a set, determined will that reason cannot change. They become so fascinated with the human feelings and impulses that They have no desire to search the Bible and come into close relation with God. So as we look at this, it is very important that we make sure that God is the center of everything that we do, because if we don't do so, then we are giving the devil a chance to come in. And as we are looking at this, we have to make sure that we are connected, and also we are to avoid the first downward step. What is this downward step that we are talking about? So, when one commandment of the Decalogue is broken, the downward step are almost certain. When once the barriers of a female modesty are removed, the perceived licentiousness does not appear exceeding sinful. Alas, that terrible results of women's influence for evil may be witnessed in the world today. Through the allurements of strange women, thousands their own lives, and many cut short the lives of others. How true the words of inspiration. Her feet go down to death, her steps take a hold on hell. Beacons of warning are placed on every side in the pathway of life to prevent men from approaching the dangerous, forbidden ground. But notwithstanding this, multitude choose to the fatal path, contrary to the dictates of reason, regardless of God's law and interference of his vengeance. Those who would preserve physical health, a vigorous intellect, and sound moral must flee youthful lusts. Those who will put forth zealous and decided efforts to check the wickedness that lifts its bold, presumptuous hate in our midst are hated and maligned by all wrongdoers, but they will be honored and recompensed of God. So one principle is already transgressed, it is easier also not to follow the next one. So it is easy when one breaks the first commandment, it is easy to break the next one. So as we look at this, have we built it on a sure foundation that is Jesus Christ? So we are to sow wild oats, reap a bitter crop. Sow wild oats, reap a bitter crop. What do we mean by that? Let's continue reading. You must not imperil your souls by sowing wild oats. You cannot afford to be careless in regard to the companions you choose. A little time spent in sowing your wild oats, dear young friends, will produce a crop that will embitter your whole life. Or an owner of thoughtfulness, once yielded to temptation, many turn the whole current of your life in the wrong direction. You can have but one youth make that useful. When once you have passed over the ground, you can never return to rectify your mistakes. He who refuses to connect with God and puts himself in the way of temptation will surely fall. God is testing every youth. Many have excused their carelessness and irreverence because of the wrong example given them by more inexperienced professors. But this should not deter any from right doing. In the day of final accounts, you will plead no such excuses as you plead now. So as we look at this, it is very important that we make sure that we guard ourselves jealous, because knowing that there is judgment that is coming in. And there is a scripture from the book of Ecclesiastes, as Solomon writes, says that young men rejoice in the days of thy youth. But remember that everything that you doest, God shall bring it into judgment. God does not forbid us to rejoice. We are to rejoice, but everything that we do, we should know that it's going to be brought in the judgment. And as we'll be continuing further, our next study will be looking at forbidden marriages, marriage of Christians with unbelievers. What does God say about that? If you haven't subscribed to the channel, make sure that you do subscribe, give us a like, and shout out with a comment. What are your thoughts in this subject? And I look forward to seeing you on the next presentation. We have already uploaded a number of presentations looking at the Christian couple. What is a Christian couple? And as we look at that, how can I build my relationship with God? And what are my reasons for me to get married? So there is a subject which I made which says reasons why I got married. And we look at the aspects of marriage. The links are just down there below on the description. Make sure that you go and check it out and look at the wonderful things which are very important that are there to increase our knowledge and draw us closer to God. I look forward to seeing you in the next presentation. Have yourself a wonderful day.